Okay, now it's normal. Panchakapatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam paguram gayate girim yakrapatam maham vande sri guru dindatharinam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, we're back in action. Okay. Can you put the next quote up? We're still studying quotes from Srila Prabhupada about on the topic of prayer, which means that if we're still praying, it means we still have hope. If you give up praying, I guess you give up hope, right? So if you haven't given up hope, then there's hope. And if we give up hope, there's no hope. Even if there is hope, there's no hope if we give up hope. So this is entitled Pray for Spiritual Protection. Brahma prayed for spiritual protection so he wouldn't become materially affected by his works of creation. He thought he would become proud or have deviated from Shastra. So that's really nice because Brahma's being honest that once empowered, he's thinking, yeah, if I get all this power, I could become proud because I'll be doing things other people could not do, or other people will never do. Um, and as I've said before, you don't really know how proud you are until you're given opportunity, like given the resources, given the control, given the people to control, given the praise, given the honor, and then you realize how much you're influenced by these things. So Brahma is projecting that, understanding the nature of human beings and how, when given power, it can, as we say, it can go to their heads. So he's praying that way. So um, we could take this as, let's say, praying in any situation that you're going into that you think would be difficult, and you pray, Krishna, help me with this situation. It may not be pride, it may be something else. And I've said before, what's interesting about prayer is you're vocalizing something that you want to do, or you're vocalizing something you want to avoid. And so when you do that, it places your intention on that thing because you've said it, you've prayed for it, so it strengthens it. It it reinforces it in your own consciousness that, as in this case, Brahma is saying, I don't want to become proud. He's reinforcing that desire in his own mind and heart. So if you're praying for something, you're reinforcing the direction you want to go. Krishna, please help me. But by saying, please help me, we're also saying, I need to help myself. Because if we didn't know this, if we didn't feel this goal was important to work on, we wouldn't be praying, right? So prayer has that power to focus our attention and intention, strengthen it, invigorate it, because we've vocalized it. This is what I want, this is what I don't want. So this is really beautiful. Krishna, I'm going into this situation. I know my weaknesses. I could be allured by this or that. I could be attracted by this or that. I could be affected by this or that. And please protect me. Beautiful. Okay, let's go to the next one. Dvandam advanda heto kumbi pakam gurum api hare narakam na panitum ramya ramya mridu tanu latanandane nabirantum have bhave hridaya bhavane bhavyayam bhavantam. My Lord, I do not worship you to be liberated from this material entanglement, nor do I wish to save myself from the hellish condition of material existence, nor do I ever pray for a beautiful wife to enjoy in a nice garden. I wish only that I may always be in full ecstasy with the pleasure of serving your lordship. So this is from the Mukunda Mala, fourth verse, as far as I can tell. In Srimad Bhagavatam also, there are many instances in the third and fourth cantos in which devotees pray to the Lord simply to be engaged in his service and nothing else. So one of the things that we've talked about before is that when you read a verse like this, at least some of us think, I don't know if I could pray that way, just not to become free from suffering, because he's saying, I don't want to become free from suffering, and I don't want. Beautiful wife represents everything beautiful materially. So, um, so basically we could say he's praying, I don't want to be free from material existence. I don't care if I have to go to hell. I don't want to enjoy this world. I only want to serve you. And so some devotees may look at that and say, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Yesterday I was listening to a lecture and Prabhupada was saying the same thing. He said a devotee doesn't pray for anything material. And then Prabhupada clarified it or gave the disclaimer, so to speak, that he said, of course, Krishna takes care of the devotee. So part of, at least for us, not praying for something material, even for liberation or even for freedom from suffering, is the faith that if I give my life to Krishna, I don't have to pray for these things. He will take care of them. So that's important. And if you have some reluctance to pray this way, perhaps you can look at yourself and say, maybe I don't have faith that Krishna will fulfill me, and maybe I need to pray for these things. So in the Bible, there's a beautiful saying in the Bible. It goes something like, when you pray, consider it already done. Does anybody know that verse or that saying? So you're praying for something because you know Krishna takes care of you, you consider this prayer is already fulfilled. That's a kind of faith. So that's why you could say for a devotee, it even goes beyond that. Even before he prays, he has faith that's already fulfilled. So often he doesn't pray for certain things because he has faith that are not fulfilled. And often, I've said this before, but maybe not in this way, often we pray for things because we don't have faith that Krishna will fulfill them. Have you ever noticed that? Like you're praying for something, but you're afraid that Krishna won't fulfill it because that's why you're praying. So that gets in the way of praying for pure bhakti. Because when you know Krishna will take care of you, then you can just pray for those things, right? Like if your parents are taking care of you, you don't have to ask them for anything material for your maintenance because it's already there. You know that. So we give our lives to Krishna, we know he'll take care of us somehow or other, maybe not exactly on the level we want, but somehow or other, as I've often said, there are many fat devotees in the Hare Krishna movement, and very few really skinny ones. So definitely nobody's starving in the Hare Krishna movement, right? And we always have some place to live somehow or other. Maybe it's a shack in Mayapur, but somehow or other. A devotee I know was living in a shack in Mayapur. He bought some property. He had money. He bought some property, and he just had a shack on the property temporarily. So even Krishna provides a shack. Yeah. So there's another thing that's being stated in this verse. If you look at he said, what does he want? He doesn't want become free from suffering. He doesn't want material enjoyment. What does he want? I want the ecstasy of pleasure in serving you. So it's almost like a philosophical affirmation that if you get the ecstasy of serving Krishna, you won't want these things And so therefore, for us, if we want these things, or if we want them beyond what's necessary, not that if we want them, yeah, we need some things, obviously. But if we want what's beyond necessary, probably it means we're not experiencing the bliss of Krishna consciousness, and that's something to reflect on. Why, the unlimited nature of material desire in the mode of passion, there's no end to it. You fill one desire, another one pops up. It's like Ravana's heads. You chop one off, another one comes up. You fulfill one desire. You won't have, if you have 10 desires and fulfill one, now you have space for another one to grow. So, so if that's going on, then the reflection is, well, maybe I'm not experiencing ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. And then the next question is, what do I need to do to experience that ecstasy, or what's missing, or what's missing in my Krishna conscious diet that I would be um, feeling that I need so many things that I really don't need. But um, I think more important point is the faith aspect. Chaitanya Dasi has given us this quote from the Bible. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. So it's almost like you're not asking. It's almost like you're saying thank you. You're praying for something, but you're saying thank you for providing this because you already, but for us, as I said, often we don't have to ask for it because we're just thanking Krishna, or we're just knowing Krishna that you're giving it, or you're giving it according to my need. If you don't give it, it's probably because I won't use it well, I'm not ready for it, or some reason that, for some reason, you're not giving it. Maybe I'm in the wrong consciousness. Maybe I can't use it properly, something. So that's the idea. Um, yeah. Now, the thing about this prayer, so we get it clear, as I said before, sometimes we look at this prayer and we think, that's not really me. I'm not there yet. So is there something wrong with me? Or, what should I do? Should I give up bhakti? I'm a hopeless case. This is obviously prayers of pure devotees are prayers of pure devotion. So if you're not on the level of bhakti of King Kulakshekar, don't be in anxiety thinking, well, I'm looking at this prayer and I don't exactly feel this way. I just don't have that faith strong. I don't have the faith that he has. I don't have the experience that he has. Yeah, that's true. So if that's the case and you look at this verse and you go, I don't know. I'm not at that level that's just, well, Krishna, whatever. I don't want anything. We look at it as, well, here's the example. Here's the standard. This is where we're going, right? So you look at your map and you're going somewhere and you go, that's far away. Say, well, yeah, well, that's the goal. That's where we're going. So it may be far away, but we got to hit the goal is north. So let's start driving north. See how far we get. So it's something like that. And so don't regret, don't lament, don't beat yourself up if you're not on the level of King Kulakshekar. He's setting the goal post. This is where we're going. This is what pure bhakti is. He's defining by his own example what is pure bhakti. And that's why there's so many prayers like this, because this is how pure devotees think. And one of the ways to relate to this, which I think is really helpful, is to think of on my phone, it says, I'm supposed to give class at 10 o'clock to devotees in Nigeria. Now, the thing is, they never sent me a link, and this could be a leftover from another yuga. So don't be surprised if I get a call at 10 o'clock going, hey, where are you? And then if that's the case, we'll just give you all the link and we'll go there. So, you know, I was mentioning that there's so many prayers in the Bhagavatam where devotees just saying, all I want is pure love. So think about when you love somebody, what that's like. And I think this is the best way to overcome any fear we have of love, because when you love somebody, when you really, not when you just like somebody, but when you actually love somebody deeply. And if you never loved anybody deeply, well, imagine. When you love somebody deeply, what do you want? Your happiness is their happiness. You can't really be happy independent. You can't be happy if they're not happy. And you can't be unhappy if they're happy. So when you transpose that into pure bhakti, Krishna consciousness, then it means that the pure devotee, and this is not artificial, they just want Krishna's pleasure, because when Krishna's happy, their heart is full of love and happiness. And so the happiness they could get from liberation or from material opulence, etc., it's not going to make them happy, and it gets in the way of their relationship with Krishna. So that's why they say they don't want it. Does that make sense? It's not like something artificial. It's not just a philosophical point. It's a point of rasa, that when you have love of Krishna, that's how you feel. It's just is. I mean, it's a philosophical point. When you feel pleasure in Krishna consciousness, you become renounced. But I think it's more helpful to see it as just a reality of love. This is how somebody feels. And so if these prayers sometimes make you feel like, oh, I don't feel that way, I don't have faith, something's wrong with me. Well, nothing wrong with you. As I said, these are pure devotees who have love. So now we see how a pure devotee prays. So we know, okay, that's the goal. And then the more I become pure, the more that's how I will pray or see myself. I think that's a better way of taking it. So it's just, okay. It's like you're a little kid and you see a professional sportsman and you want to be like them. And they're doing things you can't do, but you understand, oh, when I'm 6.5 feet tall and 20 years old, I'll be able to do that. But right now I'm only 8 years old and 4 feet tall, something like that. So don't be discouraged. We should be encouraged. And this is the symptom of pure bhakti. And when I get pure bhakti, I'll feel this way also. There's that verse in Bhagavatam 6th canto in the story of Vijayamil, um, that for a pure devotee, heaven and hell are the same. Varga pavarga. No, that's not the verse. I can't remember it now. Naraka. It's Tulyartam, Tulyartadam, 6th canto. Chaitanya just, I think there's one word in it, Tulyarta, or Tulyartadam. Of course, Naraka will be there. Hell, got it? Yeah, let's read it. I'm like, my verses are rusty. Oh my God, this is like everyone should know this verse. If you don't know it, you can cry. And then learn it, and then you'll stop crying. She's going to put it. As soon as she puts it the first word, I'll remember it. I just can't get that first word. Parga, apavarga, narakeshu, something like that. Narayana para sarve nakutaschana bibhi. Sarva pavarga narakeshu. I got it somewhere. Apitu yarta darshana. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planet's liberation and the hellish planets are all the same, for such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. So, Narayana para sarve. Narayana means that those who are dedicated to Narayana para. And everything's the same to them. Well, so how would we relate to this? Well, we relate to this from the example I just gave. If you're in love with somebody, like really in love, wherever you go with them, you're happy. You can live in a hellish city in a little apartment. And you'd be happier than being without love and alone in a beautiful place in a big house, right? Isn't it? So a devotee is in love with Krishna. That love is like it. It's it's so deep and it obviously it's internal, so it doesn't matter where they live. It's just like they're in ecstasy wherever. And so they're not looking for liberation or heavenly planets, and they don't mind being on the hellish planets because Tulyartam, that's the same for them wherever they go. They see everything equally. So I think we can, it's good to understand it from that perspective, that that's the effect of love. And when you have love, then if you love Krishna in hell, that's better than not loving him in heaven, right? That's the idea. So if you don't know this verse, please learn it. It's one of the what we call famous verses. I don't know how a verse becomes famous, but it's kind of a democratic thing. A lot of devotees learn the verse, so the verse becomes famous. And this is one that many devotees learn. Anyone who is wearing saffron who doesn't know this verse, put on white or learn the verse if you want to keep your saffron on. This is like standard. Narayana parasarvena kutaschana bibhiti shvarga pavarga narakeshu apitva yartadam arta darshanam. Make a note of that. You can learn it. Especially if you're a brahmachari or brahmacharini. I don't know. Brahmacharinis don't wear saffron, but whatever you wear, you have to learn this verse to be worth it. Oh, Prabhu, I'm not good at learning verses. Too bad. Learn it anyway. Uh, okay, let's go to the next one. Pray only to be engaged in devotional service and spread the Lord's glories. This is from 9945 Bhagavatam. One who is absorbed in Krishna bhavantamrita has no material benefits to ask from Krishna. The same point. Instead, such a person prays to the Lord for the benediction of being able to spread his glories over the world. I think this is a bit autobiographical here, but maybe what is this story in relation to? I'm not sure. But certainly that's Prabhupada's desire. Mama Janmani Janmani Shure Bhavatad Bhaktir Haitukri Twaye CC 2029 Antya 2029 Sikshashtakam 4. A Krishna conscious person does not even want to stop his cycle of birth and death. He simply prays, I may take birth as you like, but my only prayer is that I may be engaged in your service. So many of you know this song, Manasa Deha Geha Yo Kinchumor Arpilantu Apade Nandikishwasa by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. One of the lines is Marobi Rakobi Yo Kinchumor. Marobi Rakobi Yo Kinchumor. I think that's no, Marobi. Anyway, Marobi Rakobi means you can kill me, you can protect me. And so the mood of the song is Krishna, whatever I have, it's yours. I give it to you. And my life is yours. And my only prayer, my only request is that I take birth in the family of devotees. That's what I want. So, and then he says something amazing, which I don't think we could imitate, even as what does he say, a worm or an insect or something, a worm insect, something like that. He said, I'd rather take birth as an insect or a worm in the home of a devotee than take birth as a human on Brahmaloka. Wow. Meditate on that. That's amazing, huh? So he's saying, I want the association of devotees because even as a worm, I can hear the kirtan and hear the Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. Wow. That certainly gives support for sadhu sangha, doesn't it? The importance of it. Um, and also, I mean, what do we understand? We understand the same point that if you're relishing Krishna consciousness, the pleasure of Brahma Loka is like, whatever. It's like, I don't really care. It's not that important, you know. So for us, if we're not relishing Krishna consciousness, we might think, Brahma Loka, I heard the girls are pretty beautiful up there. And everyone's wealthy. And the guys have big muscles and nice tattoos. So I don't know. That or a worm in a devotee's home, and maybe the devotee's home is like in a hot place in India. I wouldn't even like it. So that's our thinking, but the thinking of a pure devotee, isn't this amazing? He's saying somehow or other, I want to get the Sangha pure devotees. You ever see sometimes devotees where like, these devotees, these ISKCON devotees, they're this, they're that, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to see them anymore. Must be a few pure devotees around somewhere to see, no? There's an example that was given that if you walk into a walk-in refrigerator and the temperature is set at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0 degrees centigrade, and you stay in there long enough, you will freeze by association. You don't have to do anything. Just stay in that fridge long enough, you will freeze by association with the ice, by association with the temperature. So in the same way, by association, we will become what that association is. And, for a devotee, like the worst possible thing is to not be in a situation where they can hear and chant, where there's like nobody to talk to about Krishna. That's like so difficult. So that's why we need devotee friends so we can talk about Krishna. Because if we can't talk about Krishna, like that's like, what's the point of living, right? So this is beautiful. Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamai. Mama janmani jamani shure bhavatar bhakti rahai tuvitai. So that's Lord Chaitanya's explanation of what pure devotional service is. Life after life. Wherever you want, I'll go. That's pure bhakti. Can't imitate it. We've talked many times about, well, is it okay to pray for liberation, go back to Godhead? If that's where we're at right now, yeah, it is. And our guru wants us to go back to Godhead. So, why wouldn't we pray for what he wants of us? Let me fulfill his desire. That is our goal in a sense. But, at some point in bhakti, you hit a point where your goal is just to make Krishna happy. That's it. Okay. We're in the 9th canto. All right, let's keep going. Got to get to the 10th canto. That's where all the nectar is, right? Great to have association with pure devotees. Oh, we're regressing back to the 7th. My dear Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. As powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. My dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. So, what Prahlad Maharaj is saying is, the reason I don't want any material things is I have two experiences. I have experience of what they're like, and I have experience of what it's like to serve you, um, and to be in touch with your pure devotees. It's a totally different experience. And yesterday I was on a japa walk, and I was thinking one of the problems that one of the challenges we face is that we don't remember our past lives. So that whatever we're doing in this life, it seems like we've never done it before and it's the first time. Could you imagine if it could be revealed that whatever you're desiring now, you've desired for thousands of lifetimes and you fulfill those desires thousands of times? It'd give you a different perspective on it, wouldn't it? And as Prabhupada said, in this life, as a devotee, as a human being, and as a devotee, this life, you can do something you've never done before, which to me sounds like, okay, hey, Matura, you want to go out? We're going to do something we've never done before. And Matura's like, yeah, that sounds exciting. I've never done that. So why don't we look at Krishna consciousness in the same way? Yeah, well, hey, Matura, you want to like chant and dance in ecstasy and become purified, go back to God? And yeah, that sounds good. Never done that before. Yeah, we certainly haven't done that before. So, so that's the idea. If we can remember, okay, I've done all these things before. I don't remember, but I can remember that I don't remember that I did them, and try to remember in some theoretical way that whatever I'm aspiring for now is nothing new. I've been frustrated with it forever. It's not going to be any different now. Nothing in the material world has changed. It's still the same. And that the new thing is become Krishna conscious and love Krishna. That's like, okay, that's it. So, hmm, yeah, mhm, yeah. So when you have experience of this, the benefit of the association of devotees, especially the benefit of association of pure devotees, then why would you want anything else? It's like it doesn't make sense, you know? Like when devotees get married, not when they get married, before they get married, when they're thinking about getting married, one question to consider is, can I have conversations? Can I have meaningful sangha, which means hearing and chanting, discussions about Krishna with my spouse? Because that's what devotees do. I mean, that's the essence of association. You know, of course, there's giving gifts, receiving, giving prasadam, receiving, and naturally you do that when you're married. But revealing the mind in confidence also means discussing confidential pastimes. Hey, I read this about Krishna. I'm not interested. I just want to watch the football game. You know, um, of course, you can have friends that you can discuss Krishna consciousness with, but as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, and Prahlad Maharaj is saying here, I just want to be in association of devotees. So uh, that was a question Ramananda Roy was asked. What is, the most painful thing? And he said, to be away from devotees. That's to not get association of devotees, nothing more painful. Yeah. So that's the idea that when we are with pure devotees and we can hear and discuss Krishna, we can churn the ocean of nectar, we can experience bhakti rasa, can experience some of the bliss of our relationship with Krishna. And then, like these other things are like, are you kidding me? I would want that. Are you, you're like crazy. You know, that's like, let's say Sanjay is like a multi-billionaire, and I go, Sanjay, I have 10 rupees. You want it? He's like, no, thanks. Keep it yourself. I don't need it. So it's like you have millions of dollars of Krishna consciousness, and someone wants to talk about the whatever, it's the football game or the cricket. India's more, I think, addicted to cricket, right? Then, well, I guess both soccer and cricket. Yeah. We'll talk about soccer and football. You call it football. And then we'll talk about cricket. Yeah. But if you're relishing the nectar of Krishna consciousness, talking about these other things, it's like, here's $10, Mr. Millionaire. No, thanks. I don't need it. So, this is how we create friendship and bhakti. This is how we choose spouses. Can we have meaningful discussions about Krishna? That's where it comes. We once had this devotee. We went on traveling Sankirtan. There were four of us, and this one devotee was new, and he liked to talk, like pretty much like nonstop. And he liked to talk about nonsense. And and we were agitated by it, and he got pleasure from agitating us. So we would just say, be quiet, you're just talking nonsense. And he just keep talking. And we're living we're traveling in a van like 8 hours in a day, and we have to listen to his stuff. He drove everybody crazy. It's like nobody could like tolerate it because he's talking about everything. He's a new devotee, and he's talking about everything mundane that he knows, because he doesn't know that much about Krishna. It was very, very painful for us. In fact, we lost one devotee on the party. He just left. He said, I can't deal with it. He just got out of the van one day and said, I'm taking a bus to New Vrindavan. And we dropped him off somewhere, I don't know, Texas, Arkansas, like, 500,000 miles from New Vrindavan. And he just got on a bus. So um, that's what these devotees are saying here. Okay. Mm. So I have experience with material things. They're limited. I need some. Obviously, I need some material things. I need a place to sleep. I need some clothes. I need my plate and spoon and bowl and my shoes and my jacket for the cold mornings. Yeah, I need all these things, but it's not like I have the ultimate jacket. I'm so happy. I have the ultimate shoes. I'm so happy. It's like the perfection of life is to get the ultimate shoes, the ultimate jacket, the ultimate plate. You know, pure devotees won't think like that. Unless it's in relation to Christian service, like, yeah, this is good. I can do Govardhan Parikram faster now in my new shoes. Okay, then it's good. All right. This is from, where's this from? We don't know. It's a secret. By studying, or is it from the verse? It must be the purport to the verse, right? Yeah, okay. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam, every intelligent man can get experience like that of Prahlad Maharaj through the historical incidents mentioned in this great literature of spiritual knowledge. By following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, one should gain thorough experience that all material opulence is perishable at every moment. Even this body for which we try to acquire so many sensual pleasures may perish at any time. The soul, however, is eternal. Nahanyate hanyamanishari. If you don't know this verse, all I can do is cry for you. Nahanyate hanya. You probably have to learn this for the Bhakti Shastri, right? Is it? Part of, yeah. You can't kill the body. The soul is never vanquished, even when the body is destroyed. I mean, you can't kill the soul, you can kill the body. An intelligent man, therefore, should care for the happiness of the spirit soul, not of the body, even if one receives a body with a long duration of life, like those of Lord Brahma and the other great demigods, it will also be destroyed, and therefore an intelligent man should be concerned with the imperishable soul. So, this is Prabhupada's message a million times over. Why a million times over? Because we're a million times stupid, and we have to hear it a million times before something sinks in. It's like we're pouring this knowledge on our head, and it's like all pouring off, but a little bit seeps in, Prabhupada keeps pouring it. Get a little more to seep in. There is a story I heard about a person who was very ill because they couldn't digest, and the Ayurvedic doctor said, give them ghee, and ghee is like, take ghee is not like something you take when your digestion doesn't work, generally, right? Everyone was questioning. But how will he digest ghee? He said, probably won't, but some of the ghee will stick to his intestines, and then he'll get the value of the ghee because it'll just get stuck and absorbed in his body. So Prabhupada is, pouring ghee into our stomach, same ghee every day. Maybe some will stick. So after a while of being devotee, it starts sticking. Oh, yeah. Now I get it. I'm not the body. Yeah, I never understood that. Oh, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And if I'm not the body, then these sensual pleasures aren't going to give me pleasure. Oh, and the body's not going to live and I will live on. Oh, okay. And we're all thinking, oh, yeah, I know all that. I've heard that a million times. Yeah, right. You know it all, right? Well, you want to test how well you know it? When you look at another person, what do you see? A body or a soul? So now you know the answer to your question, whether or not you know it. When you only see the soul, then you know it. Until then, you don't. So Prabhupada has to keep pouring that knowledge on our head to get it through more and more. But if I realize I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul, then I'm going to be in ecstasy. And all these anarthas will be gone. And like, what will I be interested in? Not going to heaven, not opulence. I just want my relationship with Krishna, obviously. I have to disappear for one moment because you see this? Yeah, well, I drank too much this morning. So I will request you for the next 30 or so seconds. Just sit and meditate on you're not the body and see what realizations you get. Okay. Just observe your body and mind. You are different from them. Just sit there and observe it and see what realizations you get. Oh, you all look so effulgent. You like all become self-realized in the last minute. That's amazing. That was fast. How does it feel not to be a body? You want to hear a story? I may have told this before. It was an amazing story. So I was thinking how to help people understand they're not the body. So I just created a guided meditation based on what Prabhupada says in his books. You could see different purports where you can understand you're not the body because you're conscious of it. You can understand the mind because you're observing it, you're feeling it, you're aware of the pains and pleasures. So somebody's aware of it. So we did a little meditation, and then also the the fact that you've had a smaller and a bigger body. So we did a little meditation, and we said, be conscious of your feet, and we went up through the whole body. Be conscious, be aware. But the idea is you are aware of something else. You're aware of your foot, your leg, your hand, your chest, your head, like that. Be aware of your thoughts. So we kept saying, be conscious of, feel it, be aware of it. So it was being reinforced. Then we said, now remember when you were a child, go back to your earliest memories, and now remember when you were a teenager and like that. And took them forward and imagine, when you're 80 or what you might look like. And so be conscious of that body. It was all be conscious of. So then we took him to the point and we said, well, now imagine you're on your deathbed and you're about to leave your body, and then you leave your body and you're now out of your body and you can see your body lying on the bed and you as a soul are out and you're eternal, you're full of bliss, you're full of knowledge, and just remain in that. So it was kind of like a artificially induced Brahman realization exercise. And it kind of worked, believe it or not. Not that they all became Brahman realized and, dropped out of school and, joined the temple or anything. But what happened was when they shared the experience, um, we shared that experience and we said, what? We had to bring them back in the body, obviously, because they're like, okay, they're actually in their mind out of the body. So we said, okay, now come back into your present body slowly, because it's possible that you could disorient someone psychologically with an exercise like that if they're like out of their body and they don't really come back. So we had one devotee said that's a dangerous exercise because maybe they won't, resurface properly into their body. But anyway, that's never happened. And so when they shared, I said, so what you're sharing? And they said, I didn't want to come back in my body. That was common sharing. It was very blissful outside my body. I didn't want to come in it. Isn't that interesting? These are people who knew nothing about Krishna consciousness. It was their first time. And they said, I don't want to come back in my body. And so if you actually realize you're not the body, if you could actually get out of your body, like, why would you want to come back in and with all the headaches and aches and pains and stupid thoughts and anxieties? It's like, just be outside of it in bliss. So, uh, So, yeah, so that explains why when you read these verses and these devotees are praying, I just want pure bhakti, because they're self-realized. Like, why would they desire anything? They don't, they're not, they realize they're not the body. They have this relationship with Krishna. What is of any importance? Um, so, it's a beautiful exercise. Maybe we'll do it in Vrindavan, in Govardhan. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. Shalini says, if I realized it wasn't the body, I would worry a lot less. Then you could worry about how to love Krishna. You wouldn't stop worrying, it's just what you worried about would change. Worrying is like, it's kind of part of nature. You'd worry about Krishna. You'd be thinking, oh my God, Krishna's going out to herd the cows and he's barefoot. And you'd worry about that instead of worrying about something else. We're always going to worry. I mean, the gopis were worried about it. That was their meditation. Or like just soda, you'd be worried Krishna's going to be okay. He's going to eat enough. Everything's going to be good. You worry like that, right? Yeah. Okay. Valentina says, regarding association, if the wife was too proud at the beginning of the relationship and thought that she was smarter than her husband, and husband no longer wants to talk about Krishna with her, what steps will help restore his desire to talk about Krishna? I don't know. Learn about Krishna so well that he realizes you know what you're talking about. Or, no, that's not the problem. The problem is that you think you're smarter. Tell me something about my dear husband. Please tell me something about Krishna. You need to talk about the fact that you're not talking about Krishna. That's a start. And how to restore that. You know, any problem is solved by communication. You just have to talk about it. I'd like to talk about Krishna. Okay, let's set aside a day. We'll read Bhagavatam every night at 7:30 to 8:30, something like that. Start with that. So the next quote is, pray to see Krishna. Therefore, Daksha prays, one may think of you as personal, impersonal, or imaginary, but I wish to pray to your lordship that you fulfill my desires to see you as you actually are. Well, so then now, of course, now we have this question. Well, should I pray to Krishna so I can see him? Is that right? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, and Prabhupada quoted it, don't try to see God, but act in a way that God will see you. And so it sounds awkward to say that when we take darshan of the deity, it's not us who's seeing the deity, but it's the deity who's seeing us, because we would think, well, why would he want to see us? Like we want to see him. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said the proper mood is to be the enjoyed. So Krishna enjoys seeing his devotees rather than we enjoy Krishna seeing him. Interesting, right? Get your head around that, everyone. Um, Now, you might say, well, Krishna, if I see you, then I'll become a pure devotee. Not necessarily. Many people saw Krishna. And you know what happened? Nothing. Or they made offenses. They ridiculed him. So seeing Krishna is not a matter of seeing him because you see him with the pure heart. Then you can't see Krishna unless you have a pure heart. So, oh, Krishna, let me see you. Prabhupada explained this. This is quite interesting. You'll be interested to know that once upon a time, a devotee asked Prabhupada, and this devotee told me he asked Prabhupada. So we heard it straight from the horse's mouth, as we say in English. Straight from the horse's mouth means you heard it from the person who had the experience, not from a person who heard the story from somebody who's retelling it. I don't know where that saying comes from. I don't know what it means, but I heard it straight from the Prabhu's mouth. So he said, isn't it wrong to pray Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Baba, to me, it doesn't seem right because you're praying Krishna to please let me see you, which could sound like, well, Krishna's thinking, oh, so that's why you became a devotee. You just want to see me. You don't want to serve me. That's it, right? Okay, to hell with you. If Krishna says to hell with you, that's pretty dangerous. Someone else says to hell with you, this just means they don't want to see you. If Krishna says to hell with you, yeah, that's different. So, of course, Krishna wouldn't say that, but that the thinking is there that isn't it wrong to want to see Krishna? Isn't that like why do you want to see him? Well, because he'd be cool to look at. You ever think like that? I would like to see Krishna because he'd be cool to look at. Have you ever thought like that? You must have thought like that. I'd really like to see Krishna. Okay, then what would you do? Just sit there in Shantarasa and enjoy him? Just, oh, Krishna is so beautiful. Um, so here's the answer Prabhupada gave. Would you like to hear the answer? Yeah, you can hear it even if you don't want to. I assume you want to hear it. That's why you're here. Prabhupada said something interesting. And of course, this was early in the movement. This devotee asked this question. He was young. He said, Prabhupada said, when we say, Krishna, please let me see you, it means let me have realization of Krishna consciousness. Let me have, you ever like say, Krishna, I need realization because without realization, my only realization is like pakoras taste good. That's my big, what's your big realization for today, Prabhu? Pakoras taste good and chanting bad rounds is bad. And uh, yeah, that's my big realization today, right? Which means you chanted bad rounds and had pakoras. And so you got some big, so, but when you, when you're doing well in bhakti, you get realization. Those realizations empower you. Those realizations are important. So, Jagannath Swami Nayanapatagami means, O Lord Jagannath, please be visible to the path of my eyes. Let me see you. But Prabhupada translated it or interpreted it for us as, please, like, show me that you exist. Give me realization. Then Prabhupada said something interesting. He said, if you don't get these realizations, how will you go on in Krishna consciousness? So really the prayer, another way of looking at that prayer or any prayer similar that you want to recite, your own prayer or another prayer, is Krishna, I need realization of you to be inspired to continue. Because if I only get realization of Maya, that's not going to help. I mean, we all have realization of Maya, right? You have full Prabhu, I'm Maya. I'm fully Maya realized. I realize all aspects of Maya. No, we need to be fully Krishna realized, to realize everything about Krishna. So Krishna, help me realize everything about you, because I've realized everything about Maya, and that's not really helping. Does that make sense to you? Like, so it's like, yeah, Krishna, I need realization. I mean, one of the reasons we go on parikrama, we go on retreats, is to get realization. And those realizations, like, they're like, I was saying on this last trip, I was saying to the devotees, I said, a realization is like when you're in the forest and you don't know which way to go, and there's a light, it's like a Hollywood movie. Which way do we go? And all of a sudden there's a light. Some alien has put a light there, right, for you. Guardian angel or whatever. So a realization is like that. Like you're confused, you don't know what to do, and then Krishna reveals, oh, this. I had this realization today. And the realization just kind of parts the clouds that were in the way, and you can see where to go. Isn't it like that? Something, like it's like if we can, more realizations we have, the better. At this retreat, we have 25 questions for you. Well, we have more, but I'm trying to wither them down to 25. And in my process of withering them down, I added more. I took as many as I deleted, I added. So we have a problem because one question could take a day of Brahma. I don't know to answer. So I'm working on it. Somehow I can't finish it. It's hard to delete a question. Um, but these questions will give you realization, and you're like, ah, ah. You want to hear one of the questions I added today? Matura is helping me. He doesn't even know because this is a new question. If you were in therapy with Krishna, couples therapy, what would he say that he likes about you, and what would he say there are problems? What would he say that? What problems would he present in the relationship? Wow, what a question! Huh? You have to imagine what Krishna would say about you. Well, Mathura, I like you. You're good. You're a good cook, and this and that. But I have this issue with you. Like, what's Krishna's issue with you? It's like, so you isolate something and you realize, oh yeah, I'm very impersonal with him. We were, for example, we were having a job retreat in New Jersey, and it just kept coming up. I can't remember why. It kept, I guess it was devotees sharing how when we chant japa, we become impersonalists. Like we're personalists until we start chanting japa, then we become impersonalists. Isn't that funny? I was a personalist, Prabhu, and then I started chanting japa, and I merged with Brahman during my japa. Actually, I merged with the universal form, I think, because I'm thinking about everything in the universe other than Krishna. So Krishna's there on the altar, then I go to chant japa, and I become, I meditate on the impersonal, universal form of everything in the world except his lotus feet. So Krishna might say that to you, like why you become an impersonalist when you chant my name? Or why don't you think I'm in the deity? Or why you so lazy or whatever. Anyway, but the point is, you'll probably get some realization from doing that exercise, right? You could do it now if you want. And that realization is like, oh, I never understood that. Oh, this is like really going to help me. It's like, oh, this is how we go through the forest. I wasn't going exactly the right way. I see now more clearly. This is so. So, shouldn't we pray for those realizations? Isn't that a good idea? Jagannath Shami Nayana Patakam. Bhava to me, give me some realization. Why not? That's what Prabhupada said it means. So that's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? Shundar, hey, very beautiful. Shundar. Shundar means beautiful. Gaur Shundar. Okay, we have a comment from Gaia from South Africa. When I meditate on I'm not the body or the mind, I have an understanding that I have different energies, or like there's a range of ways in which I express myself and interact or feel myself. I'm not sure where that all falls on the spectrum of bodily consciousness. Well, falls on the spectrum of bodily consciousness if the ways in which you express yourself, interact, or feel yourself are identified on the physical level. We have a meditation that I wrote yesterday we're going to do. We have two meditations we're going to do, guided meditations. They're like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, just to kind of get in the mood. And, one of the meditations we're going to do is to meditate on how many lives we've had that we can't remember. And then I drop the bomb, Gaia, and say, and this life, it will soon be forgotten by everyone. You'll be the first one to forget it, and in a few years, everyone else will forget it. So how many forgotten lives do you have in your past of identifying with whatever? My talents, my personality, my relatives, and so forth. And that's why, because we don't think that way, that's why sometimes it's hard to hear Prabhupada, because he's coming from that space. And we're coming from the material identification space. So he's saying, family, this and that, it's all Maya, it's all temporary, don't be attached. And we're like, how can you not be attached? And don't be attached to your thoughts and your ego and this and that. And it's hard for us to hear. But Prabhupada's looking at us and seeing this is one of a million lifetimes you've had. So this isn't even that important. You're thinking it's the only life, so it's important, right? I mean, you ever get really you or see how people get hung up about what's going on in this world? We're having elections, people go nutty, they start hating your best friend if they don't vote for the same person. It's like Prabhupada looks at this and it's like, what are you wasting your time with? You're gonna die. Get ready. It's like your plane's taking off the airport and you're like, oh, can we do this before we get to the airport? Yeah, but you'll miss your plane. Really? It's like that. But maybe not, not. You might miss your plane if we stop. Can we go shopping? I want to buy this. But your plane's leaving in an hour and a half. Oh, can't we just do this? Well, you might miss your plane. So that's what Prabhupada's saying. We forget who we are. We forget the millions of lives we've had and how this one's going to end. Who knows when? We forget it all. And Prabhupada doesn't forget it. And he's coming from that level. And that's why sometimes there's this disconnect when he talks. It's like, wow, that's heavy. It's not really heavy. I mean, you could say it's heavy, but the reality is heavy. But once you live in the reality, it just is. It's not heavy. It's just the way it is. It's liberating. Does that make sense? That's the heavy part. You've had many bodies. They're all forgotten. Can you remember any of them? Can anybody remember any? I mean, unless you were like Napoleon or Hitler, who's going to remember you? And I hope you weren't either of those. And what benefit is it of you today if you were and they remember you, right? We have a question from Venkateshwara Govinda Dasha. Please advise the right mood for the prayers, especially prior to chanting the holy name. Yeah, it's all in the Japa affirmations book. But it's like whatever you want to create in your japa, you can pray for that. That's all. Like, it's beautiful. Well, this is what I want to create in my japa. Like I meditate on it, I aspire for that, and then I begin chanting. Or this is what I want to experience when I offer the holy name to Krishna. I want to offer it in a certain way, a certain mood, so I can chant that way. Whereas I often chant that picture there, I was like, I want to be, I want to trade places with Gop Kumar. That's like the leading actor in that movie. I want to get a part in that movie as the leading actor. What about you? Well, I haven't. You might say, nah, I'm a gopi. Okay. There's some gopis there. You can be there. There's a gopi, right? You can be that gopi. And if you're in Sakya Ras, then you can like want to be there. Or yeah, you don't want to be observing. Well, maybe you'll observe the next boy who comes. But you could even meditate on that. It's like unlimited things to meditate on. Like, of course, if you're meditating on that, you should meditate on, I would suggest, meditate on how to become qualified to go there, to be in that picture, right? Yes? Correct? Krishna gave me the qualification to be hugged by you. But another meditation I was having the other day was, I often have this, is that when you're chanting, Krishna's hugging you. So you could meditate on that. Krishna, let me feel your warm embrace when I chant, because that's also happening. And so, it's beautiful to pray to Krishna to experience something you're not experiencing now. It's Bhaktivinoda Thakur does that in that song. Kabhi habe bolo. Kabhi habe bolo se dinamar. When will that day come? Kabhi habe bolo se. And then he lists the things he wants to experience. When I'll be running on the Ganga like a madman, chanting Gaura, Gaura. Like, when will that day come when I go to Mayapur? I go to the Ganga and I go nuts. I go crazy. Gauranga. And then you see me running up and down the Ganga. I go, oh. Everyone's looking at me thinking, oh, he's gone crazy. But you will know. No, Krishna is fulfilling his desire. He wants to go crazy chanting Gauranga on the bank of the Ganga. So whatever it is you aspire for, you can meditate on that and pray for that through the holy name. I mean, it's a prayer, so you should be praying for something. Might as well go for the jackpot, right? But of course, when you pray for something, you understand that really you're praying. In our state, we're praying to have a qualification to experience that. Correct? Yeah, good. Of course. Because if you pray for something, that's nice. Why not pray for the qualification to be able to have that prayer fulfilled? That might be better. I mean, or also for both, right? Okay. So sometimes I like to pray, when will I cry? When will I shed a tear? Like when I hear the holy name, that it like moves my heart. When will my heart melt? At least when will the temperature rise before it melts? Because my heart is frozen right now. So when will it warm up? There's so many things you can pray for. In relation to bhakti, not like, when will my wife be nice to me? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's not really why we chant Hare Krishna. And no matter how many good rounds you chant, she may never be nice to you. So, just accept it. It's your karma. But the holy name it's for our relationship. Okay, the next one. How many more do we have? 10,000? Well, by the end of these classes, you're going to know everything Prabhupada ever said about praying. Pray to never forget Krishna. Jai and Vijay prayed that they wouldn't forget the Lord. They were afraid they might take birth in lower species and thus forget Krishna. The Kumars thought they would go to hell because they cursed the devotees, and they prayed they wouldn't forget Krishna. Yeah, so it's like what could be the worst curse for a devotee? The worst curse would be that they forget Krishna or they couldn't chant the holy name. So sometimes devotees pray this way. And so they're praying this way because Jai and Vijay are, they're taking birth as demons. So it's like, oh my God, we're going to forget Krishna. I'm like, please, even as a demon, let me help remember you. They did remember Krishna's demons very much, just it was not favorable. But they did. So in that sense, we could say, yeah, they their desire was fulfilled. Satyarupa, did you get my message to edit that? I just sent her all the questions you're going to ask in Govardhan. That when you read the questions, you're going to want to run out the room. So I can't deal with it. I can't face it. This question is too penetrating. You still have chance to get your money back before you come. Now that you know, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be good. Questions that you have to ask. So, so yeah. So where were we? Yeah. So this is the worst thing for a devotee to forget Krishna. I never want to forget you. My dear Krishna, I'm really good at forgetting you. Can you help me? Because forgetting you is like, it's bad news for sure. Okay. Satyrupa says, sometimes I hug Narada Shingadeva in my japa. One day I was in that mood and he arranged his Mahaprasad for me. Wow. No one should underestimate the power of Satyarupa to make magic things happen. She's kind of like addicted to living in holy dhams. Vrindavan, Mayapur, and Jagannath Puri. So this has got special Shakti. Don't get her upset. If she gets upset with you, who knows? What could possibly happen to you? Not that she would get angry or say anything, but Krishna might. She's got Shakti. Watch out. Even I listen to her. Of course, that's because she edits my stuff, so I have to listen. Rukmini, sometimes, why should I pray if Krishna knows how I feel? Because praying will bring you closer to Krishna. That's why. The best answer. I said in another class, You have, Rukmini, you have millions of desires. How does Krishna know which one's important to you? You have to tell him. You know, Krishna's looking at your heart going, oh, there's like 4,867 desires here. Ah, like, how do I know which one he wants me to fulfill? He didn't ever told me. I'll just have to pick one, you know. No, tell Krishna what you want. It's part of the process of bhakti. It'll help you come closer to Krishna. And as I said earlier in the class, it will intensify that desire by saying it out loud. So if you desire to become a pure devotee and you just say, Krishna, I want to become a pure devotee, you will experience that that desire will become stronger. Isn't that amazing? Just by vocalizing it. So that's important. Yeah, what happened to Satyarupa opened, she saw the questions and she fainted, and now she's just recuperating. And she's going to say, Gurudev, do I have to answer these questions if I go to the retreat? Because they're very heavy. uh, yeah, Hare Krishna. I have been meant to many retreats, and the beauty of retreats is they ask you questions that are really penetrating. You really have to look at yourself. And it's so easy to answer them when you're with 100 other people doing the same work. And you get to hear all the answers of other people and discuss it with somebody. So, you know, what you didn't think of, someone else did. And you're like, oh, yeah. So what we're doing in the retreat, we're doing something cool. We're going to have a section of our journal and it's going to say notes to self. So every time you get a realization, you write it down. Then we're going to have a to-do list in your journal. So because some questions will ask you, like, what are you dealing with and how you deal with it? And so we'll write it down in your to-do list. So you'll come out with like all this message to self and all this to-do list. And after every exercise, we ask for your realizations. So if there's 25 exercises, you'll come home with 25 different realizations. But this is just written, not to speak of what you'll get otherwise. So if you have, that was just an ad. If you haven't signed up, there's still time. And if you don't sign up today, prices are going up 10 times every day until the retreat. So sign up now. And if you sign up today, you'll get special mercy. Yeah, something like that. All right. So Guy says, I tend to add at the end of my prayers, Krishna, please change my prayers according to your desires, because I worry that I make mistakes or in ignorance pray for something silly or in the wrong motive. Yeah, but I would say better to learn what to pray for and what the right mood is rather than, you know, it's kind of like, Guy, it's kind of like you cook something, you don't know how to cook, it's a mess, and you say, Krishna, please, you know, if you don't like the way it tastes, maybe you could make it taste better. You know, if you don't like the fact that I burned and I put salt instead of sugar, etc. No, you wouldn't say that. You would say, Krishna, please help me cook for you. So that's good, but why not just learn how to do it? And then pray to Krishna, please inspire me to say the right thing. And then do the right thing. That's better. Yeah. But Guy, you have to pray according to your own level of bhakti. You can't imitate another. That's important. So, one sense, none of our prayers are bad or wrong because we're praying according to our level of realization, right? So if you're praying sincerely according to your level of realization, then it's good. Hare Krishna. Well, Tina says, you once said that we can pray to Radharani if we want to go on the retreat, but I can't. She seems to be so far away. No, as soon as you say her name, she's there. As soon as you pray to her, she's there. You might be far away, but she's not. Yeah, I think you should say it the other way around. I'm far away from her, but she's close to you. Radharani is the internal potency. She's there when you're chanting japa. Yeah. Krishna, I don't know what to pray for. Yeah, you do know. Pray for pure bhakti. Pray for removing an obstacle. Pray for guidance, how to come closer. Pray for empowerment. All these things. Matura says, an interesting account. Husband was reading Bhagavatam and his wife wanted to watch TV with him. She started putting him down, saying, look at the pure devotee, so holy, reading Bhagavatam in a very mean way. I have to say it like she said, huh, look at the pure devotee reading the Bhagavatam. Ah! The relationship ended shortly after this happened in a way that Krishna created some very dramatic situations that vetoed the relationship. My thought is, non-different than Bhagavatam. Krishna is non-different. Encourage each other to come closer to Krishna. Oh, marriage. Wow, it's difficult. How is it that two people who like one another end up like hating one another? It's weird, isn't it? That's like the weirdest thing in the world. You like one another because you don't know one another that well. You like one another and then you live with one another, like, oh my God, I hate this person. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. There's like no dharma in that at all. It's just like whimsical. I like, I don't like. I'll believe in you. Why? You're too fat. I'm out of here. That's what we've come to, right? Isn't it? Hare Krishna. Oh, you're blonde. I'm over blondes now. I want to get one with black hair. Then pretty soon, all the women are going to have to live with the house of female robots also, that their husband's going to be enjoying. It's going to become very weird. It's interesting the way I look at marriage. I see a lot of like marriage is kind of like a barometer in a sense of your dharma, of your responsibility, of your ability to control yourself, because all those things are required. And when you can't do that, you might say, ah, it's my wife, my husband, he's this and that. But it's better to look at ourselves. It's hard. There's this funny video that shows how hard it is to be married, to have the relationship, the challenges. This man says to his wife, I'm going to the gym. And she says, oh, you don't like me? You didn't invite me? He says, oh, I'm sorry you want to come. Oh, so you're saying I'm fat? No, no, I didn't. No, no, I didn't mean that. Oh, so now you're lying to me. No, 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 I'm not lying. Yes, you are. Like that. It's like impossible. Like whatever you say is the wrong thing. That's sometimes how difficult these relationships are. And still we have to navigate them. Have you ever experienced that? That's like, I can't say anything right. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm sorry. Oh, you're making excuses. You think I'm going to accept your apology and you're going to get off the hook. It's like it's endless, right? I'm not saying your marriage is like that or it will be like that, but sometimes they can get a little bit like that, right? Okay, Abhishek likes the serenity prayer. Control. Don't control what you can't. Control what you can. That's not the serenity prayer. Don't control what you shouldn't control. Don't just control what you can, control what you should, and don't control what you can't. I won't control what I can't control. That means I'll control everything else. No, control what you should control, not everything. Because the way people quote the serenity prayers, please help me um, control, not control what I can and control what I can. It's not what I can control, it's what I should control. Because, maybe I can control the government and drop an atom bomb. So should I do that? No, you should control what you should control. Okay, one more report. HBD says, what is the use of marriage if it's not helping us become Krishna conscious? Well, to answer that question, To you, you're already married. So you have responsibility to your wife and kids. That is the question that will help you enter the Vana. Answering that question later in life will make it easier to enter the Vanaprastha ashram. Because then you could say, yeah, I worked hard and, you know, did my responsibility, and now it's time to focus on my Krishna consciousness. Because you see, the thing is, you don't know, like all of those who have difficulty in Grihastha ashram, you don't know what it would be like if you weren't married. You could be a bachelor daddy. You know what a bachelor daddy is? Prabhupada termed this word, maybe? I don't know. Has any of you ever heard this word, bachelor daddy? I guess Prabhupada termed it, it's like a single man who's not a brahmachari. Bachelor daddy means he's fathering many children and different women. Bachelor daddy. That's what it means. You don't need to get married because you can have a different woman every month. And you're getting them pregnant. Bachelor daddy. So-called brahmachari. So you don't, you say, marriage is hard. My wife's not a devotee, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you don't know where you'd be right now if you weren't married. Maybe, you'd be a bachelor daddy or worse, you know. So it does have that stabilizing force and teaches us responsibility. And then it impels us later in life when we can retire to just like really appreciate that those responsibilities are over. Pray that the Lord is pleased with us. The absolute truth is sought by different persons in different ways, yet he remains inconceivable. Nonetheless, devotees like the Pandavas, the Gopis, the cowherd boys, Mother Jashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan do not need to practice conventional processes of meditation to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he remains with them through thick and thin. Therefore, a saint like Narada Muni, understanding the difference between transcendentalists and pure devotees, always prays that the Lord will be pleased with him. Yeah. Praying for Krishna to be pleased with us also means praying how we can please him, and praying that we'll always do the right thing, and praying that we'll be like the residents at Vrindavan and have their bhakti, their mood. I mean, that's a higher kind of prayer, but in general, you can pray to have the mood of Brajvasis also. So, party's over. I have to continue my work on the retreat materials. Most of them are finished, but we're still working. So we're going to have to say goodbye. You can all stay and chant if you like, but I will say Hare Krishna to all of you. And I think we'll see you Friday morning when we go to Russia. You're invited to Russia. You can learn Russian in these classes if you're smart. Or if you want to, right? Or if you're capable, or I don't think I have the samskars to learn Russian. I mean, probably I do, but some of those words, my mouth doesn't move like this. It won't make those sounds. You have to be born that way, right? Right, Valentina? For you, it's easy, right? It's just natural. You have trouble speaking English at all? Most Russians can speak English fairly well, but not every English-speaking person can speak Russian fairly well, I think. That's at least me. Okay. Hare Krishna to everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi.